Hey folks, it's Eric here once again, and yesterday I posted a video on spiral dynamics. So basically I'm going to go over the comments of those now. So basically, yeah, it's a very sort of niche system that I'm sort of using to talk about social issues in the world today. There will be another episode next weekend where I talk with Anthony about this, and lots more to come, because spiral dynamics has really shown me a way to integrate lots of my worldviews and ideas into a system that explains how civilization works and how different societies grapple with their sorts of differences. And basically, it's it's mind-blowing somehow, and not everybody's going to agree with how mind-blowing it is. So I do this for the people who want to know. And yeah, so we have someone here saying this is the first time I've heard of spiral dynamics. It's a great way to explain how society individual functions. Thanks for the info. Yep, I mean, absolutely glad I can help. And then John, this seems to be the counter part of astrology, just in sociology. Yep, perhaps. A lot of hocus pocus. That sounds reasonable. I would say, how would you define hocus pocus? What do you mean by that exactly? So if you can reply to that, that would be great. But if you take a look at more closely, it turns out to be a complete bogus. Based on what? Because it is subjective, and therefore things that are subjective, it's up to the person who's experiencing it to sort of decide on the value. It's like music. You can't define what is good music, what is shitty music. You can only know which music you like when you do it. So for example, you say that China's blue is becoming orange and US is becoming green. Now the fact is a lot of US companies have their factories in China. All those very progressive ones like Apple, show off and care of the environment and support Black Lives Matter, very liberal modern. So what you call green is a shitload of pollution in China, Vietnam, Philippines. Yes, there's different segments of different industries, and you can imagine that as it goes deeper, it becomes more regressive, basically. They produce their goods in sweatshops, exploiting little children by forcing them to work, Well, right. So I don't know how much you've traveled in countries like Vietnam and stuff like that, but in a lot of cases, yeah, it can be the case that international outsourcing, for example, does pay people less than it would in the West if you hire people directly in your factory. But I don't think there are many places where people don't have a choice. The fact they are choosing to take a deal where they're working, yeah. So it is orange. Outsourcing in general is very orange. And the companies that are green are going green from the top. So as I said, yeah, so basically the companies that are going green, of course, the more affluent leadership starts to get the idea that they should build in more environmental initiatives into their sort of ethos of their corporation, because it will lead to more people believing in their cause, believing that they're working in a good place, and having a better culture. But that takes a while to trickle down, because a lot of the people who are in middle management will still be orange, trying to drive results. And profit is, you can't have a green company before you have a stable company that's profitable, right? And so that whole thing is basically, it's hard to achieve until you have a profitable company. So yeah, and then the people at the bottom of the organization will often be blue on spiral dynamics, people who just want a job, follow orders. And that's exactly what you get with outsourcing, is when you outsource to a country like India for customer service, you get somebody who is hired and trained to follow a script and follow the orders and fit into the thing and do the job they're hired for, because that's the mentality that a lot of these societies are predominantly at. And so you hire from that, and they join, and they get the stability of a job, a steady paycheck, and they follow the orders, and they think that's that. The reason it doesn't work a lot of the time in outsourcing, and this is my business, is because just following orders is not what people in orange societies want. They want some semblance of excellence. They want some semblance of sort of like achievement to be sort of present in the structure, in the excellent customer service. Not somebody who's just doing the thing, but somebody who's doing the thing with the greatest amount of excellence and awareness of what your needs are as the person being served by the thing and all of that stuff. So I would say China is predominantly blue. Yeah. And okay, so let's go back to the comment here. And yeah, China's going into orange for sure. Average Joe visits a few programs around the environment protection, posts on Facebook healing the world, and thinks he saved the earth, and then sits into a Starbucks where he drinks coffee that was transported from the other side of the planet on vehicles that do a lot of air pollution. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not. Yeah. Exactly. So the destruction of the planet is inevitable. I think that green is just saying that we need to be more conscious of it, and yellow is certainly where we are more conscious of it. And produced in China, India, Bangladesh with slave labor. I don't think your definition of slave labor is correct. And if it was correct, it would be red on spiral dynamics. Slave labor is red on spiral dynamics. So there are some cases where it might be the case where there is a trickle-down effect where these organizations that want to be green at the top are actually supporting situations that are red. Certainly, in supporting governments in some developing countries, you are supporting red because of you're supporting corruption, and you'll send your you'll be on orange and you'll want to get the best deal, and so you'll send your staff members with piles of money to bribe the officials in corrupt countries. But the whole thing is like there's always contradictions on the spiral, and the greatest realization of systems thinking, stage yellow, integral stage. Basically, the greatest realization is all the stages need to exist. There's people who are at all of them. There's people who are slaves, and they are there, and they need to get to the next one, which is traditional society. And a lot of the time, outsourcing and manufacturing, foreign manufacturing, is not slavery. It's the best option these people have, and that's why they sign up. And I think you need to go into these countries a little more before you understand how it all works. But he is very green because he's wearing a t-shirt that says save the earth. Right. So this is the hypocrisy of a orange society going green. So an orange society going green will still be mostly orange, but the people will start to get green ideas while they're still engaging in this really individualist, selfish, capitalist behavior, supporting a system that literally just destroys lives. On a capitalist level, it destroys the environment, and the medical system and all this stuff is all supported. That's the basis that people are going green from. So there's a lot of hypocrisy. It's kind of like societies that are red going blue, or societies on the edge of red and blue will go to war with another. From the blue standpoint, their nationalism, their nation will go to war with another nation, and then it's all slipping back to red very easily with raping and stealing and all sorts of other atrocities that come out when blue societies go to war and people regress into red. So it's a similar thing with people who are green going into business will regress into orange, will regress into that. Well, they still have some green ideals there, but they regress very easily into the capitalistic, I've got to do the best for me, I'm number one, everybody else can fuck themselves as long as I'm not like going and murdering them and raping them like Redwood. Then it's still a step up, isn't it? 2 steps up, actually. So yeah, I mean, it's all, you can counter the points that I make here. But the point is, where I wanted to get is that the world is a lot more complex system than something could break down into arbitrary categories. Okay, yeah, it is. That's absolutely true. It's much, much more complex. Right. But you need to generalize and categorize in order to have a map of the world. Like if you want to go to Belgrade, if you want to drive from Budapest to Belgrade, you don't need a map of every street in Belgrade just to get in the city. But you do need a map of which highway to take out of Budapest to get out in Belgrade, or at least a sign that says Belgrade is this way. And if you had a sign that said, Boulevard Despota Stefana is this way in Budapest, it wouldn't make any sense because that's just a street in Belgrade. You might not even know that. But if you know Belgrade, you heard of Belgrade, you go to Belgrade. And then when you get to Belgrade, you can explore all of the nuances, the different streets and alleyways, neighborhoods, and so on and so forth. So spiral dynamics gives you a framework to jump into different mentalities. And from there, you need to look at the nuances, absolutely. Another point is the history of human evolution is not always straightforward progression. Yes, but if you look at the patterns, it can be based on this. I think you should watch Leo's video, not just mine, which I linked in this video, the previous video that I'm looking at the comments for right now. This one, Eric's Intro to Spiral Dynamics. Ranking civilizations and saying one is on a higher level is relative. Well, maybe not. But for example, you say tribal civilizations are a lower level than on Orange, but you're observing through the lens of economical investment. No, not just economical advancement. I'm observing it on the lens of human rights. I'm observing it on the lens of intellectual development. I'm observing it on the lens of the complexity of social structure, not just economic development. That's economic development kind of ends at Orange because it maxes all that out. And in green, you start to explore more nuanced ideas of justice and morality. And in yellow, you start to look at the whole system and how it all represents the whole thing altogether. From an ecological point of view, the situation might be the opposite. Yeah, that's true. Orange is the planet raping stage. Very destructive. We're seeing that in the world today, so on and so forth. But as Leo said, Leo from actualize.org said in his video of Stage Purple is a very eco thing, but they don't have the machines that destroy the environment because they haven't developed them yet. But that doesn't mean if you go to some places, if you've been to places, like Indonesia or something, you can see beaches just full of plastic bottles, which you won't see in for example, Canada, because, well, the people from the jungle and stuff will come to the beach and get a plastic bottle and just throw it on the ground when they're done with it because they don't have these more advanced ideas of protecting the environment. But in the jungle, they might live completely eco-friendly, traditional, blah, 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 because all their stuff is from the jungle. It's not made by technology, not plastic that takes a long, long time to break down. And so, yeah, right. So which color were they? Blah, 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 blah. It always depends on your reference frame. So this is a reference frame. That's what it is. I mean, the way that this works is this is a reference frame that allows you to look at different stages, and it's very useful. And I'll just end it with one thing. Yes, it is like astrology. And my thing is I'm not really interested in discussing astrology with people who aren't interested in astrology and who aren't looking to use the framework of astrology to interpret personality traits and different emotions that happen. So, I mean, I could make another video about that, but I'm not really interested in hearing about somebody who's never had sex, what they think of sex, like a virgin, what they think of sex, so some religious person who's never had sex, who are told that they won't be able to have sex until they get married. I'm not interested in discussing sex with them because I've actually had sex and I know what sex is like, right? So yeah, same thing with psychedelic drugs, same thing with spiral dynamics. I mean, this one and astrology are a little more accessible because you don't actually have to do anything. You just have to listen to these thoughts and see if they can apply to some situations in your life, right? So next comment. So basically, oh, well, on this one, thanks for the comment. Would you like to do a Zoom call to debate this issue with me? I would like it if this guy was here, like talking back to me in real time right now, so we could have a conversation rather than back and forth, but I think I wrote it out myself. So, this is why I am the guy on YouTube and you're engaged with me because I'm actually here with my face and my voice talking and I'm willing to talk back and forth with other people. That's what makes this interesting. If I had just written an article, well, fuck, it wouldn't be as interesting, would it? Because you get more personality, you get more dialogue, you get more spice here. I'm still listening, but thanks for the good, thanks for, collectivism versus individualism. This is the topic that's tainted by the Christian fabric of Europe. We have all these preconceived notions about individualism being what's destroying the world. Yes, that's blue. Christianism, religion in general, where it's like a dogmatic religion where you have to accept, especially the Catholic Church where there's a hierarchy. classic blue religion, you know. Yeah. So morality got pushed around in Nietzsche's time from church spiritual to strange relativistic morass of, I don't know that word, morass. Sounds kind of funny. Consciousness, consensus politics based around feelings. Even just discussing taxation nowadays can result in physical attacks in some Western societies. Yeah, because, well, Western societies are going more green again, so more collectivist. Serbia still has some momentum from communist times, public parks. So this is a comment from Philippe. Sorry that I got a little bit sidetracked. I thought this was a reply from John, but it's from Philippe from Quebec here. And yeah, Serbia has some momentum from communist time, but that's why dog shit covers every single square centimeter of the parks here. Nobody cares to take any responsibility. So that's red. The idea that I know that it's going to, you know, literally put shit all over the place if I don't pick up my dog shit, but I don't care because, you know, there might be a law that prohibits me leaving the dog shit, but I don't care because I can. I'm just going to do that. That selfish behavior is red. And a little bit, you can get that in orange as well. Hell is paved with good intentions. I would say that hell is more paved with negligence, like not picking up your dog shit. Hell is more paved with not caring about other people and including them in your system. Hell is also paved on thinking that your civilization is better than the other one, or that your ideology is better than others, like the green people do. There's also something that bugs me, Philippe says, about this analysis. I'm also from Canada, and I find Serbia a much freer society, certainly in terms of being able to hold ideas and converse with people. Yes, I will agree with you on this, but that's a foreigner's perspective. Stay here a few years longer and learn the language a little more. You might understand. I don't know how long you've been here, but I don't know how deep you've gone into learning the language and the mentality of people. But yeah, on the surface, it's a lot more free because people, I mean, this society in particular is very worldly and has had the influence of many different concrete nations over its history, and therefore a diversity of ideas that's put into the collective and people's ability to manifest their individuality out of a choice of all those ideas. So basically, it's absolutely impossible to discuss certain topics in Canada. Yes, that's because people are fucking brainwashed in Canada, first with orange and now with green as well. And so, okay, so Canada is basically brainwashed with this orange capitalism, which put corporations at the top of the society and you know, brainwashing people to not question that sort of that they should pay, you know, like Bell or Rogers like $75 a month to have a basic cell phone plan or cable TV. And you know, people get visibly agitated in steam if you dare say that feminism is bad or LGBT. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, people will get visibly upset, and that's because they have been brainwashed first with this individualist capitalist society where they've been really pushed into a corner of what is the good life, what you have to do to be a good person. Then you put this green idea on top of that, and they adopt all the sort of individualistic way of narrowing their viewpoint, and they put green ideas in that, and it's utterly toxic. The changeover between orange and green is utterly toxic. It's really toxic for people on both sides of what they call the culture wars right now, because both of them are really, really, really putting themselves in ideological corners. And the only way out is systems thinking, in my opinion, because, you know, the people who are like, no, individual society, the Western culture is so glorious, orange and then blue tradition, the traditions were built on, you know, they're in one corner of the blue to orange thinking. And it is a corner because, you know, you're in a corner and you can go back where you came from, or you can go the other direction. And yeah, the door is somewhere else in the room. And then the people who are between orange thinking and green thinking, they're like so sure that the system that has given them this affluence that they can predicate their green thinking on is the right way, and that it's evolving in a way that needs to, like, our system needs to include equality for no, but they're still thinking as like orange assholes, but they're just adding these green ideas on top of it. Because real green people, if you look at them, like the real healthy integrated green people, they're starting to go beyond ideology, and they're starting to get into this way of all of humanity united is the way forward. And then once you integrate all of that, you start graduating into yellow systems thinking. And basically, yeah, Serbia being a much freer society, being able to hold ideas and converse with people. Well, as a Western person who comes here, especially if you're speaking English as your main language, you're going to end up with the more Western leaning, more individualist, more orange people in Serbia who really want the society to prosper. They're just the fact that they know how to speak English to you means that basically they grew up with Western media and were partially indoctrinated into this orange culture, and they view you as somebody who's there, and they go to you more than you go to them. But if you start speaking Serbian and talking to people on the street and examining their beliefs about religion, also about homosexuality, and all that stuff, you will start to see that it's a much more conformist society on ideological level than Canada is. So I like to think of like Serbs are much more free emotionally. They're much more free, and the ones that you'll meet and speak to in English are much more interested in other opinions, other cultures, and stuff like that. They're much more free emotionally, though, because blue allows you more emotional freedom. Orange allows you a lot more intellectual freedom to explore different beliefs, but it won't actually allow for your emotions to get engaged with those beliefs because there's sort of like a filter there. And green wins that back a little bit, starts to get the cause again rather than just numbers, profits, all that stuff. So yeah, you might see, and I do feel more free in Serbia myself because, well, the way that I've been indoctrinated in my life in Canada, for example, has very little to do with what the people here are indoctrinated into the traditionalist blue society. So yeah, like go ask some random people in Serbian about, you know, the Ottoman Empire, Muslims in the Balkans and stuff like that, and you'll quickly uncover a lot of common themes in the way people think here in Serbia. Serbia is not individualist, but it's going that direction. Canada is not collectivist, but it's going that direction. So Canada is orange, Serbia is blue. Serbia is blue going into orange, and Canada is orange going into green. So at its core, Canada is still orange. It's about you as an individual in the society. And now you start to have this collectivist stuff gaining weight and making change in the society. That's the green collectivism. Here in Serbia, it's pretty enshrined in the blue collectivism. Look at how people deal with their families. Look at how they relate to their parents and how honor is a very important thing. And look at the way that you were raised in Canada, for example, and how your parents were raising you as an individual. That's not how it works here. Look at how women behave in dating here. They're a lot more concerned about collectivism, whereas in Orange, sort of feminism. It's all about the woman having the right to choose whether to get an abortion, who she wants to have sex with, so on and so forth. And then the green thing just adds a layer of ridiculousness to a lot of that stuff. But the orange feminism is woman is individual, free from the family unit, all that stuff. That's what we have in Canada. So in Serbia, the blue collectivism is woman is a key part of the family that is, sort of fenced in by the patriarchy, that is there to be the good mother, and that's her function, and it's a key function in the blue patriarchal society, right? Now the green one, it's a little too soon to tell, but a lot of the time I'd say the green archetype will start to be realized as sort of like a more down to earth motherly figure that reclaims a lot of the feminine in the way that she actually is not subservient to male dominance in society. That, having been through the orange stage where feminism was about a woman having independence, the green woman will be, yeah, we've been through that. Now it's time to reclaim my power as a queen. But the orange to green dialogue on the subject right now is so ridiculous that I don't really want to go there right now. Sorry. business people, yeah. So yeah, the whole riots in the States right now, I mean, degrade into red really easily. And the whole dogmatism of people telling you what to believe, that's blue. People who are green easily will hit blue as well. So basically, yeah, it's all kind of like right. It all kind of fits together in the way that I look at it, but it's very nuanced. So you can't say that somebody is green, somebody's red. It's about the crossover between the stages and the upheavals between the stages and the different parts of different societies and different people that are at the stages. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, looking at the comments, and I hope that it's going to continue to intrigue you watching this channel. If not, just turn it off. I don't want to discuss this with people who are not interested in this system. Luckily, these comments gave me stuff to chew on, rather than people who I start to talk about astrology and they go, I don't believe that. I just stop talking about it. Talk about something else, like something they can believe in, like beefsteak or something, you know? So I'll catch you guys later. Enjoy.